Hi, Andy. Good evening, Andy.
Evening, mate. You okay?
Yeah, all good. Are you?
Yeah, great stuff.
So we've got quite a lot to get through this hour, so we'll crack on straight with it. So, obviously, welcome to the live Last Battle show in association with Southbank Bar City of Nottingham. We'll move into the first topic. So, Andy, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah.
So, the first topic is on the show this week is Channel 5. So, over to you.
Okay, so tomorrow night, Channel 5 have the first show with Wasserman Boxing. We had head of sport for Channel 5 on our show, didn't we, last week? Kaj Sahal, really good interview, very insightful as to how he wants to approach this deal with Wasserman, isn't it? And I'd say to anyone that's watching this, go back and watch that, because Kaj is a really nice fella, and he's got some really good ideas. It's brilliant having boxing back on free-to-air terrestrial TV, isn't it? It's been a long time coming. So this first card, as Kaj says in the interview, the show's only starting at 10 o'clock, so we're only likely to get the top 3 fights live, I would think. So because of that, we'll just go through those. So the first fight we're going to go through is Harlem Eubank against Sean Dodd. I really rate Harlem, He's unfortunately, because of the name and because of Chris Eubank Jr., has been living in his shadow a little bit. But his last fight out for me against Simeon, I thought he was brilliant. I thought he boxed really, really well. And this is going to give him a real platform, isn't it? Being on free-to-air TV, he's likely to double the viewers that he's had on previous shows he's been on. He's currently 13-0 with five KOs, but he's got so much skill, hasn't he, Carl?
Yeah, it's just in this occasion, he's almost been hampered by the surname, you could argue, because
I agree.
Because obviously you got other Eubanks who are higher profile. I think he's done everything that he needs to do. He talks very well, very Eubank-esque in the way he talks. But he's in a real fight here, isn't he? With Sean Dodd. He don't take no prisoners, does he?
No. He's Sean Dodd's his record 17-6-1. But he's been with some real top talent. Corey Gibbs, Joe Cordina, Tommy Coyle, Scott Cardle. So he's been in with some real top end fighters.
You're going to find out how good Harlem Eubank is, because you could argue Dodd's a bit of a gatekeeper. Every time he's stepped up to, European world level, he's been found wanting a little bit, would be fair, wouldn't it? So we're going to find out how good Harlem Eubank is.
And also, mate, how well matched is this fight?
Well, we think so. It looks well matched. We won't quite know till they get in the ring.
Yep.
Because there's quite a lot of question marks, isn't there? Harlem's not really been in with anyone looking through his record who's as good as Dodd, in my opinion. So one thing Wasserman are doing is stepping up level of class for Harlem Eubank, which can only be good. So I'm not sure about matchmaking until they get in the ring, to be honest.
But on paper, it looks
great. On paper. And what I would say for what Kaj Sahal said is really happy to receive feedback. So anyone watching this who watches the fight and have got any opinions, post your comments below and we'll be happy to feed them back to Channel 5.
He's really wanting to put competitive fights on as well. You don't want to be showing shows where fighters have walkovers. He really wants competitive fights for Channel 5, especially the fact that they're only going from 10 till 12 at the moment. I mean, I don't want to spoil the interview, but the plan is long term. He wants to increase that time, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's keen to develop the boxing side of the Channel 5 sport, isn't he? He's talking about maybe spin-off shows, etc., etc. I know I pushed him a little bit on that, which you'll see in the interview. But he's a very sincere guy, and he generally wants to provide the best viewing platform that he can. So get behind it. I would say we all have a whinge, don't we, about paying subscription fees for Sky, but for Sky, DAZN, BT. Well, here you've got Channel 5 are trying to do it the terrestrial TV way. So all I'd say is for the UK boxing public, get behind it.
Absolutely. Okay, so next up on the bill is the return of Josh Kelly. You know what surprises me about this? It's been 1 year and 4 months now since the Avanesian loss, which at the time for Kelly and for his team and for Matchroom was devastating. They thought they were going to win that fight. They thought that Kelly was going to walk through Avanesian, or pepper him for the length of the fight, and obviously it didn't turn out that way. This is his first fight back. When that fight was happening, I thought to myself, Kelly's too big for the weight here. He looked like a fighter that had only just made weight, and then he blew up. In my opinion, I think he put almost a stone on in that day. And that sounds ridiculous, but I'm sure he did. He looked absolutely massive. This fight's at welterweight, which I'm shocked about. I thought he was going to come back and it was going to be super welter. I'm very surprised he's made this weight.
I'm still yet to be convinced that Josh Kelly's heart's in the game still, to be honest with you. I think he didn't only take a bit of a beating in the ring against Evanesian, I think his heart took a bit of a beating as well. Yeah. And I slightly differ to you. I'm not so sure they did think they was going to go in and walk for Evanesian, because that's why they delayed. I think they had serious concerns about that fight. So, I've only seen a stare off where Josh Kelly looks the opponent up and down 3 times. It just smacked to me of, does he even want to be there? That's what I took from his body language. So it'll be interesting to see what he does during the fight.
Yeah, you'd think he'd be a little bit more humble after what happened to him with the Evanesian fight, but it don't seem that way, does it?
Well, you want to like the kid, don't you? Because he's got, from a promotional background, it's all there, isn't it? He's got a big following in the Northeast. Yeah. He looks apart, doesn't he? Very marketable.
I mean, he looks like he's got all the skill in the world. The question for me is can his engine stand a full fight, 10 rounds, 12 rounds? I mean, the guy he's in with, Vrenosi, I think you pronounce it. He kind of jumps between weights. He's fought at welterweight, he's fought at super welterweight, he's fought at middleweight. And those all being in the last few fights as well, which is crazy. He's actually lost to the headliner of this card, Linus Adofia at middleweight. So this kid's clearly quite big. Record of 18-4, but only 3 knockouts. So he doesn't bang. So the Kelly team are not got that to worry about. I think Kelly's got to come out with a real statement here. He's got to get his confidence back, to get his mojo back. He's got to come out with a real statement here and do something special, I think.
And this sounds, well, obviously he got a massive push from Matchroom, didn't he? A massive push. And he's a long way back, isn't it? When you took a knock like that in terms of your career. He is on a rebuilding part of his career, isn't it? Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see if it's all about, can he get up for these fights, Andy? Can he get up for them?
No, absolutely agree, mate. Okay, moving on to what is going to be an absolute belter of a fight. The headliner, Linus Adofia against Denzel Bentley for the vacant British middleweight title. Oh, what a fight, mate. This is a proper trade fight, isn't it? Absolute belter, this. Adofia is 17-0 with 9 KOs. Looking at his record, doesn't look like he's been in with the same level of fighter that Bentley has. Bentley's 15-1, but he's been in with Mark Efron twice, drew with him and then beat him, and then he lost to Felix Cash, getting KO'd in the 3rd round, which was quite surprising to a lot of people. And it's also, to top it off as well, it's a bit of a local rivalry fight, this.
Yeah.
Denzel Bentley from London, Adofia, originally from Nigeria, but now based in Luton. So there's going to be some raucous atmosphere, I'd say. I think this is coming from the O2, isn't it?
Yep, that's right. Yep. The
So
Indigo
it's
at O2.
The what? Sorry.
The Indigo at O2. That's where it is.
Right. So this is obviously going to have all the local crowd as well. I'm expecting this to be an absolute barnstormer of a fight, mate. You know, Bentley hits a lot harder. He's got 13 knockouts from his 15 fights.
And Bentley likes a scrap, doesn't he?
Loves it.
He likes a scrap. So, yeah, you have to go looking for each other.
As Cole's already mentioned, Kaj Sahal really wants feedback from boxing fans. So feel free to drop us some messages on our socials, and we'll pass it on to Kaj, no problem at all. He genuinely does want proper feedback because he wants to grow this boxing on free-to-air TV, and he's only going to get that by getting fans to like what he's doing. So viewers, get watching this. I know it's 10 o'clock sounds like a late start, but if I mean, there's going to be a lot of people, Carl, that don't normally watch boxing. That'll be flicking through the TV and they'll go, "Wow, I ain't seen boxing for a long while."
The thing that I've got my eye on, and you know, in the press release, it did mention about the production. So I'm really hoping that Wasserman and Channel 5 have improved the production side of shows, because previous fights, you know, when you are competing with DAZN and Sky, you need to make sure your production's where it needs to be. Commentary wise, you know, it looks like they've got that all in place, but I just want to see a bit more from the production. So that's what I'll be keeping an eye on.
I tell you what I did like with the Sauerlands was the World Boxing Super Series production. I thought that was very, very good. So if they're doing anything similar, we're in for a great night, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Andy Clark's doing the commentary.
Andy Clark's great. We've followed him on this show and we've said quite a lot. We think he's one of the best.
So it seems like they've got most of the jigsaw pieces in place. But yeah, like I say, boxing fans, we want it in time. We keep talking about terrestrial TV and how much we're having to pay to watch this card and that card. Well, you know, Channel 5 are trying their best, so why wouldn't we get behind them?
Dead right, mate. Shall we move on?
Yep.
Okay. What's the next topic, mate?
So,
wow, Canelo, Bivol. Where do we start here?
yeah, I'm a bit annoyed with myself, to be honest with you, and you know what I'm going to say, because I tied myself in knots last week. But even you'll admit that for months and months and months and months beforehand, I've called Bivol will beat him.
Yeah, you have.
Called it. I said it was too much for Canelo. I said it'd improve his game, and people were mocking me saying Bivol hasn't got a chance. So I will take a little bit of credit regarding this prediction. It was just too good. It was just too good. Too big. Too good.
Yeah. I think the size played a real big factor, mate. I know Canelo's been up there and he's won a title at that weight, but against a very, very faded fighter. And obviously Bivol's not a faded fighter. He's in his prime.
Yeah. I
just think it's one weight too far for Canelo. You know what? It makes me laugh, mate. There's been so many people that I've literally slagged Canelo off. They're calling him a has-been. It's a joke. Yeah. It's an absolute joke. He's gone in against a world-class fighter at a weight he shouldn't be anywhere near, and he's tried to he's tried to prove or do something that really shouldn't be done, and he's just come up a little bit short. And I think it comes down to, because the skill sets were very, very similar, but it's come down to punch power and size, in my opinion. I don't think Canelo could get anywhere near Bivol, because even though Bivol's not a massive puncher at the weight, there was a lot more weight in every single shot that was landing on Canelo, and he just couldn't come forward, mate.
He just don't belong. He just, like I said before, he doesn't belong at 175.
No.
You know, and I've said for a while, haven't I, that I think 175 is just a step too far. There's that words that I've used. You know, but I've got a feeling that although it'll be a tighter fight, I think Bivol's still got his number at 168. I just think it is Canelo's kryptonite. You know, I just think
what Bivol wasn't doing is he didn't get flustered. Every
he didn't agree
every time he was getting success, he didn't rush anything. He took a step back, and he was like, "Okay, then let's start again." And then he just restart. He just, like, Canelo was trying his hardest to get Bivol to fall into his traps. He was trying to get Bivol to throw too many shots, to stay in the zone too often, and Bivol just wasn't having any of it. I mean, there was that one time when I think it was round 5, Bivol landed about 7 or 8 unanswered punches, and some of them were clean, and then he just backed off.
Yeah, and Canelo waved him in, and he wasn't having any of it, was it?
None of it, because that's exactly what Canelo wanted him to do. So then Canelo could, you know, because I mean, we've just had Francis Crows on, who's a professional fighter, and he summed it up quite well. That Canelo's style is he gets fighters to become too confident, and then he counters with his big shots. Bivol wasn't getting that way, even though he was having all the success. He wasn't getting overconfident. He was staying to his game plan, and it was frustrating Canelo in the end. Imran, how are you, mate?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Give us your
going?
take on the Canelo Bivol fight, buddy.
I was a little disappointed, to be honest, with the performance of Canelo. I think Bivol was great, by the way. I think Bivol was exceptional. He was always a good fighter. I think Bivol was going a bit under the radar. People were just overlooking him. And to be honest, early on, when I remember Carl saying that Bivol, for months, Carl was saying Bivol's going to beat him. I actually, after a while, started researching Bivol and started looking into his amateur background. And I realized that this guy has a really deep amateur background. He's actually beaten Beterbiev 3 times as an amateur. He lost once to him, but he's got a very deep amateur background. I think he's had like 300 fights, lost 15. And then I obviously looked at his pro career. He's kind of been like not that impressive against the competition that he's been in with. Like he's just done enough to beat them. But that performance, like that was an incredible performance. He just completely neutralized Canelo. Canelo, to be honest, I do think there was no game plan from Canelo as well. Do I think Bivol was great? Yes. Do I think I think Canelo's fallen in love with his power. I think he thinks he can go in there and just take everybody out. He just was loading up on every shot. He looked gassed after 4 rounds. I do think, go on.
I took a lot of grief, fella, for that prediction, didn't I? On various shows, a lot of grief.
Oh yeah. To be fair, you would though, because Canelo's the biggest star. He's got a lot of fans. So you would take, if you say Bivol's gonna beat him, who's an unknown guy, you know, you're gonna take stick. But the thing is now, the thing is with this, a lot of people are saying that Canelo shouldn't rematch him. Why? Because why? Like that's how greats are determined, right? So if Canelo's beaten by him, why shouldn't Canelo take the rematch? That's like we're saying, well, he's not good enough. He's not good enough to go in there. We had Canelo on a pedestal. People were saying he could beat Usyk. Which I said was ridiculous. And I'm a Canelo fan. I said Usyk would beat him comfortably. But do I think he can beat Bivol? Do I think he can come back and beat Bivol? Yeah, I think he's capable of beating Bivol. But again, it's a tough fight now. It is a tough fight because where is he going to be mentally? And also, Canelo had this unbeatable factor about him, didn't he? He thought
Yeah.
he thought he was invincible. That's gone now. So where is he going to be mentally? He thought he could go in and beat Joshua. He was talking crazy, like I can go in and beat heavyweights. Well, that he's just been beat by a light heavyweight. So
what about Bivol going? What about Bivol going down to 168 and fighting him, man?
No, the thing is, Carl, with that, the problem is with that is that if that happens, Canelo won't get any credit because people will say he was drained. If Canelo wins that fight, and also the other thing is, imagine if Canelo loses to Bivol at 168, that's him done. Like, where does he go from there? He's completely ruined. So Canelo ain't taking that fight at 168. If he's going to fight him, he'll fight him at 175, or he won't fight him at all. But the competitor Canelo is, can you see Canelo not taking that fight? No chance for me.
I think Imran, I think it's going to eat away at Canelo if he don't take a rematch.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. It's going to hurt his legacy. Like, do you see how that people are criticizing him? Like, saying, like, there's certain people out there that are happy, very happy that he's lost. And they're enjoying it. They're enjoying it, saying, oh, he was always a bum. He was always a B-level fighter. Like, ridiculous comments like that. Like,
the majority of them on your show, Imran.
They were giving him some serious grief. And I was like, I don't really want to. I know why he's getting the grief, but I just want him to rematch Bivol, and let's see if it was the fact that Bivol was just better than him, or is it a case where Canelo just fell in love with his power and he had no game plan? Because there was no game plan. Let's be honest. He was just loading up on big shots, right, and trying to take him out. There was no.
You know what really surprised me? Sorry, Cole.
Normally that's enough, Imran, isn't it? Normally that works.
What really surprised me, Imran, was everyone goes on about how good Eddie Reynoso is as a coach.
Yeah.
There was absolutely nothing in the corner. Absolutely nothing.
No.
He looked shocked. Reynoso did.
No plan B. He just kept on saying the same things to Canelo. And there were the things that weren't working. So why are they going to start working?
Andy, did you see in the last round what he said to Canelo? He said, you can't knock this kid out. So don't try. Oh, he said something on the line. Just go in there and box him when Canelo needed a knockout to win. Why are you saying that in the 12th round when he needs a knockout
in
to
round
win?
3 or 4?
Yeah, exactly. This is what I mean. I just think a lot of these trainers that have these great fighters, I think they're a little bit overrated. Like, in the sense that, like, they've got a great fighter who's just a great fighter, and that's Canelo. But let's be honest, we saw the week before he fought Oscar Valdez, fought Shakur Stevenson, and Oscar Valdez was terrible. Let's be brutally honest. He got totally dominated by Shakur Stevenson, who's a great fighter. But I thought there was no game plan. I thought there was no. What did you see from Canelo? I didn't really see anything. I didn't really see any. I didn't really see any boxing.
For me, mate, Canelo tried the same things he always tries.
Yeah, exactly.
He tried the little trick that he used against Callum Smith, where he was throwing the right up to the arm.
Yeah.
To try and either. I mean, it works against Callum because he popped his bicep.
Yeah.
You know, and then he couldn't use his jab going forward, but that didn't work with Bivol because Bivol knew it was coming.
Plus, Bivol wasn't weight drained.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I believe
he saw it coming, didn't he? And Bivol wasn't falling into any of Canelo's normal little tricks that get fighters to be in a position where he wants them to be able to throw them big bombs.
Mm. Yeah, it was a great performance by Bivol, to be fair. Like, you can't really take any credit away from Bivol. He was just perfect. His boxing IQ was exceptional. The way he was moving, his jab, his combinations, his movement in the ring. It was just exceptional. He looked really, really good, to be fair to him.
He made Canelo look average, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He did. And Canelo looked gassed after 4 rounds.
Imran, is it a case of we've all been sleeping on Bivol because
Not all. Hold on. Not all have been sleeping on Bivol.
All right. I was just about to give you some praise. Don't cut me off. Cole said it. There you go. Cole said it after the Richards fight that Bivol was in second gear.
Mm.
And I was thinking, I'm not sure Bivol's as good as everyone's making out. But has Bivol just been fighting to the level he's needed to fight?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have we
we
been
have
sleeping
to
on him?
say that now.
Is he that much better than a lot of people believed?
Yeah, well, obviously it turned out to be that, because he went in with a guy that he was a 5-1 underdog against, and he totally dominated Canelo. So you'd have to say yes. I saw Craig Richards actually give an interview and say that people aren't giving me credit, but really, like his performance against Richards was pretty poor. He didn't really do a lot, but he did enough to get through. And he was inactive as well, Bivol, wasn't he? He was coming off COVID times, and we don't know how his preparation was prior to the Richards fight. But let's not forget, like, Bivol has had to go through a lot here, like, you know, with what's going on in the world and stuff. He's had to go through a lot of crap, and now I've heard rumors that they've withheld his pay as well. So, you know, which is horrible if that is the case. That apparently he's not been paid because of.
Well, that's not right, is it? I mean,
no.
There's a lot of people, and maybe rightly so, maybe wrongly so. We're not a political show, so I don't really want to go too much into it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that have said Russian fighters shouldn't be able to fight because in other sports they've been banned.
Yeah.
Tennis, Olympics. Well, I mean, just look at Abramovich at Chelsea.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are saying Russian fighters shouldn't fight. The fact of the matter is, because it's Canelo, the Americans were never gonna say the fight can't happen. If it had been any other fighter, it might have been a different case. They might not have let Bivol fight. But the fact of the matter is, he did. So you can't punish the guy after the fight just because he's done your cash cow.
Yeah.
And the guy lives in California, so I'm sure they're happy enough to take the tax off him.
And trains in California, by the way.
Yeah, it's wrong. It's wrong. Like, he needs to be paid, really. I'm pretty sure there's a lot coming Bivol's way now. Anyway, like, after that win, he's a star. He's a superstar in Russia after that. So,
I mean, the Richards fight. Just to address the Richards fight for a minute.
Yeah.
He never looked like losing that fight. Let's not get it twisted, you know. And he was in neutral. So I really don't understand these people who say that take confidence away from that fight, that this might be just a one-hit wonder, because it's nonsense.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that Richards wasn't really perceived at world level. Like, he was seen as a guy that was way below Bivol, and it wasn't a great performance. Like, it wasn't a performance where Bivol's arrived. Like, it was just, he did enough. He basically was better than him. He was clearly better than him, but it wasn't an exceptional performance, which we expect from somebody with the ability and the skill set of Dmitry Bivol. We expect him to go in there. Like, if Beterbiev fought Richards, it probably goes 5-6 rounds and he probably stops him. It looks more sensational. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Bivol just went 12 rounds in quite a snooze fest, a terrible fight, really.
Maybe that's why Canelo jumped in with him, man.
Possibly. Yeah, possibly.
Let me just, guys, pick the comments in the sidebar up. Boxing Lounge. Is Bivol like Calzaghe, where Joe looked lackluster at times against nobodies, but brings his A game when he feels he has a challenge?
Calzaghe, don't get me wrong, Calzaghe was a very good fighter, really, really good fighter, but I don't really think Calzaghe beat anybody on the level of Canelo in their prime like that. And dominated like that, you know. He beat Roy Jones and Bernard Hopkins, but they were a shell of themselves. So I don't know. Did Calzaghe beat anybody on that kind of level in their prime like that? I don't think he did. So guys, you know what? I want to put this to you. Bivol and Calzaghe actually got put together in a fantasy fight on one of the on Facebook, and a lot of the Brits commented and were saying, "Oh, this is a disgrace of a post. You know, how can you put Calzaghe and Bivol? Bivol's done nothing." And this was prior to the Canelo fight, and they were criticizing Bivol. But actually, if we're being honest, like, Bivol would be a very difficult fight for Calzaghe, for anybody for that matter. He's bigger than Calzaghe.
Different weights anyway.
Exactly.
Anyway, it's a nonsense.
Yeah.
Comment. I get where Boxing Lounge is coming from. Calzaghe did have fights like that where he probably struggled to get up for the fight because it was against fighters he knew he could beat quite comfortably. Good answer there, Kessler.
Come on. It was a significant win, but don't put that in with the Canelo's level because it wasn't.
No. But at super middleweight at the time, Kessler was probably, other than Calzaghe, was the best fighter.
But he wasn't Canelo's level
when he fought Calzaghe.
No.
That's like saying Forest are on the same level as Liverpool.
No, it's not. It's not. No, it's not. I get where boxing line just coming from.
No, I don't.
You can only be the best of your division at the time. He can't. It's not his fault that there wasn't somebody as good as him or better than him in his division. You can't knock Calzaghe for that.
But you can still judge whether that's a bigger win than Canelo, can't you? You can still judge whether it is or not, and it's not. Simple as.
No, but no, he's not saying it's a bigger win. He's saying that Kessler was a fight where Calzaghe picked his game up and fought out of his skin, whereas other fights early on in his career were a struggle because they were fighters that he knew he could beat easily. Probably didn't train quite as hard for him. That's the comparison he's making. He's not comparing Canelo to anybody. He's just saying maybe Bivol's that type of fighter that when he's got to fight the best, he brings his A game.
Well, I've said it before. That's just another way of saying what I say regarding the opponent, isn't it? He ups his game.
It is the same. So he's agreeing with you.
So yeah, I think Bivol will beat Canelo in the rematch. I just think he's got a banana skin in him, Bivol has. So maybe when he jumps in for a mandatory, he could well lower his game a little bit. That's what would concern me.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we move on to the next topic, Carl?
Yeah. Imran, I'd be interested to know your view on this one.
Saturday night, Imran, Tony Yoka against Martin Bakole.
Tony Yoka v Martin Bakole. This is a good fight, to be honest with you. I'm picking Yoka to win. I think Yoka's going to beat Bakole, to be honest with you. I just think that Yoka. To be honest, Yoka's kind of gone under the radar. You know, he won a gold medal at the Olympics, and he's just gone a little bit under the radar. But Bakole, he's under Billy Nelson. He's done well. But I just think Yoka's the better fighter here. I think Yoka's going to beat him. Do I think it goes? I think it probably late stoppage. Yeah, I think Yoka. I really like Yoka. I think I've always watched Yoka because I remember Yoka used to train with Khan back in the day. So I used to watch him train and watch clips of him. And he's a good fighter and he's an Olympic gold medalist. I know there was a lot of dispute whether he won that Olympic gold. They thought George Joyce deserved to win it, but nevertheless, he's a top fighter. I think he was a top amateur. He hasn't quite excelled like we thought he would as a pro as of right now. But I think he'll beat Bakole, to be honest with you. Bakole lost to Michael Hunter. I think Yoka beats him, to be honest with you. What do you guys think?
Well, that was going to be my question to you, Imran, was what's he proved up to now in the pros at heavyweight, Yoka? That's the thing, but he hasn't really had a lot of fights to really prove himself, right? He's fought like guys like Dave Allen and guys of a much lower level that weren't really a contest for him. So this is a much harder. This is obviously his stiffest test, but I just think I think he's more classier than Bakole, to be honest with you. I think he's the better fighter out of the two. I mean, as you know, Imran, we've had
Billy Nelson.
We've had Billy on the show,
a
couple of times, and he's told us, a few stories about sparring, Bakole being in with the likes of Tyson Fury, the likes of Anthony Joshua, and they've all said to, in private, they've all said to Billy, this kid is an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
So if
well, it's not in private anymore, is it?
If Bakole brings not private to us, private to Billy between the fighters. If Bakole brings that side of his game into a live fight, surely he's a monster of a fighter. It's just turning that. It's turning that switch on, isn't it?
Yeah. The thing is, it's like for me, Bacoli. I saw the fight against Michael Hunter. I thought it was a fight that he should have really won. Hunter was a guy coming up from cruiserweight, and Hunter did a job on him. Really, when you think about it, has he improved? Has he improved now? I know Billy Nelson said a few things that obviously there was a few things going off in camp, but I just think Yoka's the more skilled fighter here. In terms of sparring, he was sparring with Tyson Fury for the Dillian White. He was preparing Tyson Fury for the Dillian White fight. But I don't know, is he a guy that's good in the gym but kind of struggles to deliver on the big night? Maybe he's one of those guys. Because as of right now, what would you say is his most impressive win, where you could say the same for Yoka, but Yoka's not really been tested like that. Do you see? We're not really seeing how good Yoka is, where kind of Bacoli's been tested and he's been beat, you know? So I favor Yoka in this one, to be honest. I think he's got the better skills.
Carl, how do you see it going?
Yeah, we're going to disagree here, man.
Oh, so really?
I think Bacoli's avoided. Michael Hunter, what year was Michael Hunter versus Bacola?
I think it might have been 2018, 2017.
Yeah, so you're going back a little while, aren't you? So
Yeah,
I think he's improved since then. Tony Yoka, we don't know how good he is, do we? To be honest.
Yeah.
So I think this is a very close fight. I'm going to edge Bacola. I think he's a natural heavyweight. He's a big dude. So I think he'll get to Yoka. So I'm going to go Bacola to stop Yoka and upset the home crowd late. I'll probably go round 10. And what I would add is Bacola needs his fight because he's struggling to get the fights. You know, he's struggling to get the opponents into the ring. So for ranking purposes, etc., and his profile, I think he's hungry and he needs to win it. Because if he doesn't win it in round, where does he go?
No, to be honest, like he hasn't got, like, look at someone like Derek Chisora. Look how many cracks he's had. But Chisora's got a country behind him. He's got the UK behind him. He's quite a big name. Bacoli's not got a profile really. So he has to win. Hey?
A fight like this would help him, wouldn't it? Because he has got
exactly. Yeah. Olympic gold medalist.
He could get Scotland behind him quite easily, couldn't he? As you know, quite easily.
Billy Nelson. Yeah.
Yeah. So
is Billy that big in Scotland? Is he really big in Scotland?
Well, I think he's got a fair old following. He's probably one of the only. Well, it's high profile, isn't he, Imran? I'd argue.
Yeah, as a trainer, yeah. At the end of the day, he trained Burns, didn't he?
Yeah. Burns was a good fighter. Burns was a underrated fighter, really.
So I think Bacoli's got a lot to gain by winning this fight. I know Yoka as well. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah.
If Bacoli can pull this off, it could catapult him in some big fights.
Yeah, I think if he loses, I think he's done. Personally, I don't think there's going to be much opportunities out there for him. He needs to win, really. Otherwise, it's over.
Yeah.
Okay, Carl, shall we move on to the next topic?
Are you not going to give your prediction, Nanda?
Okay. Thought you'd never ask, but I'm going to go. I want to see Bacoli become the guy that everyone sees in sparring, and I think this is the fight where it could happen. They've been messed about a little bit, haven't they? This fight should have took place a year ago, was it? 8 months ago, and never happened. I'm going Bacoli. I think he's going to go in, and I think he's going to stop Yoka, but I think he stops Yoka a lot sooner than Cole says. I think he stops in mid. I'm going to say 6 rounds.
Interesting. So moving on to the next topic, Imran, there's no doubt I have a view on this. I'm sure you've seen it floating around Imran on social media.
Have you guys reviewed the Liam Smith Jesse Vargas fight?
We did, mate.
Oh, you did.
What are your thoughts on it? Give them why you're here, man.
What, the Liam Smith Jesse Vargas? Yeah, you know what? To be fair, Liam Smith dominated that fight, battered him. Like literally. Like, don't get me wrong, Vargas was obviously coming up weight, and but that was like, he just totally dominated. I didn't expect him to dominate like that against Jesse Vargas. Vargas he's a good operator. He's a good operator. He was never top in the light welterweight divisions, but he was a solid operator, you know. He was supposed to fight Kell Brook a while back, you know, when he was a champion. Then he ended up fighting Pacquiao. But yeah, it was a great performance. He battered him like literally from pillar to post, really.
Lots of people sleep on Liam Smith, Imran.
Yeah. I to be honest, I used to be a fan of Smith back in the day, but then when I saw his performance against, not so much against Canelo, because Canelo's Canelo, right? But where I got put off against Liam Smith is where he fought Jaime Munguia. You know, I didn't really rate Munguia that highly, but the way Munguia dominated Liam Smith, he looked really flat, and he just basically, Munguia did to Smith what Smith did to Vargas, but apart from the stoppage, obviously Smith's a very tough man. He's got a good chin.
There's rumours that Liam Smith had all sorts of problems during that camp leading up to
possibly. I obviously I don't know. But yeah, like I got off a little bit after that. But Liam Smith is a good fighter. He's a good fighter. He's definitely a good fighter. There's no doubt about it. It's just that I want to see him kind of like push on now and get some, like, if you look at his resume, like this is probably his best win, and it's against the welterweight, really. Like we need to see him fight. We need to see him fight some top names now. Like I want to see him fight some big fights, some big names, in the sense like Tszyu maybe, or a Fandora, or a Harrison, or somebody that's top in the 154-pound division, that he may be seen as an underdog in those fights. Do you know? I need
Tszyu won't live with him though, man. Tszyu won't be able to live with Liam Smith. No chance. He won't be able to live with him.
Even if that's the case, then Tszyu's got a high ranking. He's talking about world title fights now. So yeah. if he can't live with Liam Smith, then Liam Smith's in for a world title shot then, right? Because if we're being honest, Liam Smith, like if you were to put him in with guys like Castano and Charlo and guys like that, it'd be difficult to see him winning those fights, you know. But the guys below those guys, maybe he could pull it off. You know, he's a good fighter. He is a good fighter. There's no doubt about it. His performance was great. But we need to see him now. We need to see him like he's old. He's not young. He's 33 years of age. He needs the big fights. He went to, and not going to Russia and fighting guys and getting. You're not going to get the decision. You're not going to get the decision against those type of guys, because those guys are seen as you know, future cash cows for those countries. You don't need to be doing that. You know, Eddie Hearn needs to give him opportunities either in the UK or in America, where he's going to be looked after, not just been flogged off anywhere. It's not going to work, because when you're fighting a natural 154 pounder, it's going to be difficult for him to stop him, right? And if you're going to these countries, right, you're not going to get the decisions. We see boxing's full of it, like corruption and all sorts. So he needs a good opportunity. He needs an opportunity now against the Harrison, you know, against Fandora. He needs a big name like that. He needs a fighter like, or Tszyu even. You know, he needs and not going to Australia to fight him.
Well, that's the problem though, Imran. It seems that no matter what Liam Smith does, he's always gets the short end of the stick when it comes to details in the fight, like having to travel to Russia, like having to go to Madison Square Garden and fight. In Vargas's backyard.
Having to go to Texas to fight Canelo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you know, the caption on the screen, he's going to have to move up to fight Eubank Jr. if that rumor's true.
That's a good fight though. I like, that's in the UK. That'll be in the UK as well. And he's got a chance in that fight. You know, even though Eubank's big and he'll be the favorite in the fight, he'll get paid a lot of money for it. You know, it's a good big payday. But the thing is, the reason why I don't like this fight, Andy, is because it's a nothing fight, in the sense that what does it really do? Like in the sense, okay, beats Eubank. The middleweights there they're massive. Liam Smith's not a big guy. It's going to be very difficult for him to beat Golovkin or beat, you know. I'd rather him stay at 154 and fight, you know, guys. But then, like you said, he hasn't really got the profile, unfortunately, to get the big fight. So I think he's in a bit of a tricky spot, to be honest with you. He might just be one of those.
My personal opinion, Imran. Yeah. My personal opinion is when I heard this rumor, my instant reaction was that fight will never happen. Because, like you just said, what other than financially, what does it give Liam? Nothing, because he's not going to stay at middleweight.
No,
he's going to come back down to light mid. He's got ambition, Liam, and it's not all about money. It's about legacy for him. In my opinion, I don't know Liam Smith, but the way I see it is, he's a humble guy, and it's all about legacy for him. It's about what he leaves in boxing. That's the way I read it. Anyway, I might be completely wrong, but that's how I read it. This fight, it don't really do anything for him other than he'll get a big wage, and maybe he thinks a little bit like that because he's coming to maybe the last few years of his career. But in my opinion, he's very capable of fighting for a world title right now.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I know you kind of fobbed him off saying he's not capable of fighting Charlo.
No, I don't think he's not capable.
In my opinion, he is. In my opinion, he is.
No, he's capable. He's capable of fighting them. I'm not saying he can't give them a fight. I wouldn't pick him to beat Charlo, if I'm honest. I wouldn't pick him to beat Castano. But what I mean is he's more than capable going in there and giving him a fight. Like, he gave Canelo a fight. He gave Munguia a fight. All I'm saying is I wouldn't pick him. But the thing is, at least put yourself, like, what I'm saying is he needs the big fights. Like you say, it's about legacy. But he needs those names on his record. Right now, his resume is pretty empty.
I've got a slightly different view to it. Again, I don't know Liam Smith.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Liam Smith sat there thinking, I've gone through my career, I've done everything the hard way. You could argue he's been let down by both the two biggest promoters in the country. So he's been a world champion, so tick that box.
Yeah.
I can see him taking a couple of big fights, big paychecks, because ultimately they're prize fighters. And when he walks away from the sport, I'm not saying he's money oriented by any stretch of the imagination, but he's going to want to have a few quid in the bank. I don't know I'm sure he's got a few quid in the bank now. But you couldn't fault the lad, could you, for taking a couple of fights where he's going to get well paid and let him jump in? Because who's to say he's going to get a world title shot with the shambles that he's had with his promotional team?
That's fine, Cole. That's fine in taking paydays, but take them on your own terms. Don't move up.
Well, he might not be there on his own terms. He might not be there because I think he's been badly let down by promoters.
That's my point. That's my point. It's about time Eddie Hearn backed him, then, isn't it? It's about time Eddie Hearn dragged a world challenger, if not for a world title, then a world challenger over to these shores.
Yeah, it would have happened by now.
Andy, Charlo and Castano are fighting this week. Somebody's going to become an undisputed champion.
We're going to talk about that in a second, mate. If
Charlo beats Castano, the belt, he's going to vacate the belts. The belts are going to become vacant, right? So Liam Smith will probably get an opportunity to fight for a world title. And the other thing is, Carl, what I wanted to ask you is, do you think Liam Smith stops Chris Eubank?
I think it's a very close fight.
No. But like, do you think if it goes like so, do you think he stops him, like, or it goes 12 rounds?
The rumors is it's going to be a catchweight at 158. That's the rumors. So I think that plays into Liam Smith's hands. The more you can drag Eubank Jr. down in weight, the better Liam Smith chances got. If it happens at 158, I'm taking Liam Smith to stop him.
Wow. Okay, I don't think Liam Smith will stop Eubank, but if it goes to the scorecards again, who's getting that decision if it's close? Do you know what I mean? This is what I'm saying.
Depends on what promotion it's on, don't it?
Yeah, I reckon it's going to be on Boxer. Let's be brutally honest. Eubank's the bigger name. So, or Wasserman, isn't Eubank with? Who's he with? Is he with
Wasserman? But he fights on Sky.
Imran, is Eubank Jr. a bigger name than Liam Smith?
In what sense? What are you asking me? Like, bigger name in terms of
you pick it. Liam Smith's been a world champion.
No. Hang on a minute. Yeah, he's been a world champion, but Eubank's name holds more.
I don't agree. I think Liam Smith's a bigger name than Eubank Jr., especially having been in with Canelo. That would have got him a lot of prestige around the world.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't think he's a bigger name. Like a bigger name in what sense? He's a bigger ticket seller. He's got a bigger profile.
He
Like
sells
I
more
don't think
tickets. Where did Eubank Jr. shift tickets?
I just think he's a big. I just think he's a bigger star. Do you know what I mean? Like he's more of a. He appeals more to the casuals. You know, that's not his doing. Like Liam Smith is a better fighter and achieved more in terms of, like you said, he's gone up the hard way. He's had to do it. He has had to do it himself. Like he's not had his name to give him a leg up. But what I mean is, I still think because of that, he's a bigger name. You know, unfortunately, that's just what it is.
I'd be interested to know stateside who know more, Eubank Jr. or whether it's Liam Smith, because I'd put my money on Liam Smith.
Possibly, but that fight's not going to happen in America. It's going to happen here in the UK.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, we're talking about profile, though, aren't we? So, in terms of a boxing profile, I'd still put my money on Liam Smith being the bigger name.
I don't know. I just think I don't know in what sense. Like we talking profile. I don't know because like I think Chris Eubank probably makes more money. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. This is what I mean. In what sense? Like Liam's been a world champion. Eubank hasn't. So I don't know in what sense, like you mean.
And where did you? Profile? I'm not so sure. Honestly, man, I'm not just saying it for the sake of it. I'm not sure Eubank Jr. makes more money either. If you look at his opponents,
guys, let me just pick this comment up in the sidebar. Welcome, Cedric. Eubank is more well known than Liam Smith over on this side of the pond. I hear Eubank's name more than Liam Smith in boxing conversations. Cedric, if you're free, mate, jump on. We've got a couple of topics that we'd like to get your opinion on.
Yeah.
So how do you respond to that, Carl?
Well, you know, as much as I like Cedric, he's obviously talking for Canada, I'd imagine. But I'm still not so sure. I'm still not so sure. If you did a straw poll around North America and asked the question around Liam Smith and Eubank Jr., it'd be close, don't get me wrong, but I still think Liam Smith edges it. I mean, especially with his recent fight in Madison Square Garden, for one.
Yeah. Andy, what do you think?
In my opinion, Liam Smith's by far the better fighter. There's no question.
Yeah. I'd agree with that.
Still yet to prove himself. And if it is at catch weight, then Liam Smith beats him all day long. Whether he stops him or not, Imran, I'm not sure because Eubank's a very, very tough.
Yeah.
Very, very tough fighter.
But that's the problem, though, Andy. He's not going to get the decision. In my opinion, he won't get the decision, even if he wins. Like, I don't see it. I don't see him getting the decision.
He won't get the decision.
What's his name? Liam Smith.
He won't get the decision. Of course he will if he outboxes him.
No, but I don't like. To be honest, I've been put off with judges.
Imran, we're not talking about Liam going to the other side of the world. The fight's probably going to be in Manchester.
Yeah.
Or London. So he's still in the UK.
I'll tell you where the fight will be. The fight will be in Liverpool because Eubank can't sell out a phone box.
But that's why I think it might be Manchester to even it up a little bit.
Liverpool.
I hope Smith wins. I prefer Smith over him, but I just can't see if it goes decision. I just think they'll probably view Eubank as the bigger commodity, you know. And these things, if it's a close fight, if Liam absolutely dominates him and batters him, you know, then maybe, you know, of course, then obviously it will get the nod, hopefully. But I don't see it being a one-sided fight like that. I think Eubank's good enough to make it a hard fight for Liam as well.
Just jumping in the sidebar again. Cedric's come back on to clarify his comment. He's put it's because we remember his dad, just like Nico Walsh Ali, known because of his granddad.
Oh, so he's not.
And he's also,
so he's not Eubank Jr. Then it's his dad who's got the profile.
No, he's on about the name. He's on about the name, isn't it? And that's people relate to it because of the name. There's also you've also got to think about the fact that he's trained by Roy Jones Jr., who's an absolute legend in the States. And people are going to be looking at who he's training, maybe. So maybe that's where the profile link will come in.
Yeah. Smart move from Eubank to join with Roy Jones.
I still think it doesn't matter for me, mate. I wouldn't want to see Liam go up to middleweight because that's giving all the advantages away. But if it is at catchweight, then I think that the advantage is definitely with Liam. But personally, I don't want to see him fight Eubank. I want to see him stay at light mid. I want to see him challenging either fringe world level fighters or for world titles.
Get Munguia back in the ring.
He's moved up though, hasn't he?
Munguia's at middleweight now, though, ain't he?
Munguia's gone to middleweight. He's got a fight coming up. I mean, it's looking like it might be Shane Mosley Jr. He's going to be fighting next.
Yeah, I think Munguia's a little
easy one to make, isn't it? Golden Boy stable, isn't it?
Yeah. That's why they're doing it, I think. I mean, I don't know. What makes you think that the belts get split after this undisputed fight, Imran?
Charlo, if it depends. If Charlo's going to move up, there's already rumors that he's going to move up to 160. So, if he wins that fight against Brian Costano, he'll
be in the same division as his brother.
Yeah. His brother's kind of like a bit of a yo-yo at the minute, like moving up and down divisions. Like his brother might move up to 168. Right. So I don't think they'll clash in that sense. But yeah, I think if Charlo wins, I think the belts will get vacant, and that's why I think Smith should stay at 154. I think the opportunity. Smith has mentioned it himself. He said that himself that the belts will become vacant if Charlo wins. Yeah, I don't want to see Eubank fight Liam Smith. I don't really want to see Liam Smith fight Eubank. Eubank's fighting these guys coming up weight. He was talking about fighting Kell Brook, which is a disgrace, and then he's talking about fighting Liam Smith. What does that do for his career? Even if he beats Liam Smith, Liam Smith's been fighting at 154.
Here's the difference between the two fighters. Liam Smith, in my opinion, isn't and has never been about money. Chris Eubank Jr. is all about money. He don't give a damn about his legacy. It's all about how much money he can make. Yeah,
I'd agree. Yeah, his whole career's been like that.
The easiest fights, I might add. Biggest purses for easiest fights.
Yeah.
Well, he had the chance to fight Triple G, and look what happened there. Kell Brook had to move up 2 weights to fight him.
Yeah. That was a golden opportunity, but they didn't want to fight him at that point. Golovkin was a monster at that point. He would have
priced themselves out of it, didn't he, Imran? They priced themselves out.
That's why I say it's all about money. It's money orientated for Chris, and maybe that's doing him a bit of disservice. But I'm sorry, that's just the way it looks.
But he would have got really badly beaten in that fight. Let's be brutally honest. That was a Golovkin in his prime.
Yeah.
Golovkin would have done some, look at the fight that Golovkin gave Canelo. The first one, I personally thought Golovkin beat Canelo.
Yeah.
So imagine what would he have done to Chris Eubank? Would have battered him.
Yeah.
Do you want to pick that comment up in the sidebar, Cole?
1 minute. So we got a comment from Fitz. So what about Fundora, who has a chance of beating him at 154, except maybe Charlo? I think Charlo versus Fundora would be a good fight. I know, Imran, you're a big fan of Fundora, aren't you?
Yeah, it's the fact that he's so big. He's just 6 foot. He's 6'4", 6'5". I don't even know how he makes 154. I don't. Has there ever been a fighter that big at that weight? Like, he's just so big. He's just so tall. I saw his fight against Erickson Lubin. He was actually put down in that fight. It was a great fight, but he absolutely battered him. Like, Lubin was in a state after the fight. So, yeah, that would be a tough fight for anyone, because Liam, how tall is Liam? About 5'8"? This guy's 6'5".
It can't be staying. Fundora can't be staying at that weight for long, mate.
Yeah, I don't know how he makes it. I don't know how it's possible to make as a 6'5", 6'6" guy. You know, we're talking about cruiserweights heights or heights. You know, I don't know how he's making the weight. He's a stick as well. Let's be honest. He's literally a stick. But yeah, he's a good fighter. He's a good fighter, to be honest. I think the fight that Liam should target is a Harrison fight. Tony Harrison. Tony Harrison's a really good fighter. He beat Charlo, and Charlo beat him in the rematch. That would be if he can beat Harrison. That would be
Harrison.
That would
Good
be the same.
fighter.
Okay. Let's move on, guys.
Okay.
So tomorrow night, Hannah Rankin fights at the SSC Hydro in Glasgow, defending the 2 belts she's got, WBA and the IBO super welterweight titles. The reason this has come onto our radar and the reason it's interesting is in the media in the last couple of days, she's been calling out Natasha Jonas. So Natasha Jonas obviously in her last fight won the WBO.
Yeah.
It's an easy fight to make, really. You know, Hannah Rankin's calling her out. Natasha Jonas don't back down from nobody. What a great unification fight that's going to be. So hopefully, fingers crossed, Hannah Rankin does the job tomorrow night, and then that fight can get made. What do you make of Hannah Rankin as a fighter, Imran?
Hannah Rankin, did she fight Katie Taylor?
No.
She's a Scottish fighter.
She fought somebody.
Sorry, no, she might have actually. She's 11-5-0. She might have fought her earlier on in the career.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm not sure
because I don't know. Like her name is it? I think did she fight Shields? Higher weight class. I'm not entirely sure. But Hannah Rankin.
I think she fought Shields.
She fought Shields. Yeah.
I think she fought Shields.
Yeah. Obviously, Shields is top class. So I remember her name fighting an elite female fighter, and I think it was Shields, to be honest with you. And Shields dominated her. There wasn't really a lot to take from that fight. But I like the Hannah Rankin fight with Jonas is a good fight. I like that fight. And to be honest with you, I saw Jonas's fight. Jonas actually fought on the Khan and Brook undercard, right?
Right, yeah.
Co-main, and
that's where she won the title.
Yeah, and that was a great performance. She battered her. I think she's got the momentum now. I think she should look to make as many big fights as possible. And I think she probably beats Rankin, to be honest with you. I favor her because remember, Jonas moved up. Yes, Hannah Rankin did fight Clarissa Shields because Clarissa Shields was 54.
2018 she fought him.
Yeah. Because I was thinking, the reason why I was thinking, because Jonas is a smaller weight class, but Jonas moved up a couple of weights, didn't she, to fight that
and it was Savannah Marshall she fought, not Katie Taylor, Imran.
Hannah Rankin.
Yeah, Savannah Marshall.
So she fought both Shields and Savannah, didn't she?
Correct.
Yeah. So for me, Jonas would obviously be giving away a lot of weight, and Rankin's a good fighter because I saw Rankin's fights against Shields. She's no mug. She'll be a much tougher fight than the one that she had, to win the world title. But I just think Jonas now has got a lot of momentum after that performance. And to be fair with you, like I don't know what you guys thought. I thought her performance against Taylor was exceptional.
It was,
I thought that was a nip and tuck fight. That could have been a draw, could have been one round in it. It was a very, very close fight. And Taylor, Taylor's had a lot of close fights. Let's be brutally honest. He's had a lot of close
also, let's not forget the Terry Harper fight, mate. Most people thought
she got
Terry Harper that night.
She got jobbed in that one as well. So to be fair, Jonas has been performing very well. Let's be brutally honest. And the world title win was exceptional. So I would pick her to beat Rankin, but again, she is fighting much bigger girls.
Yeah,
that she's fighting bigger girls. So it could be a bit of a banana skin Rankin.
My concern is that obviously that world title fight for Jonas, she's been waiting that long to win a world title. I worry it was her cup final. So I'm worried that she might take her eye off the ball. Rankin's she's a big girl, isn't she?
Yeah,
Jonas has got to obviously stick to the game plan and plenty of movement. If she gets caught by Rankin, she's going to feel it.
Having said that though, Cole, Jonas carried her power up to that weight.
I think Rankin's a lot better than the opponent she fought that night. I'll be honest with you.
She's better than her, don't get me wrong, but that opponent was no bum. She was no bum. A lot of people says it was an easy fight and she was handed a world title. That's not the facts.
No, I won't go as far as saying that, but I think Rankin gives her a lot more problems than that.
I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that.
Was she Argentine or something? Was she Uruguayan, something like that?
Yeah.
The lady.
I think she was.
Was it
Argentina.
I think it was vacant title, wasn't it? Was she the actually champion?
No, it was vacant.
It was vacant title that she won. All
She
right.
was a previous world champion, wasn't she? A
She
few.
was previous world champion, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they
So-
didn't. Well, did they? Like in the sense that they didn't really tell us. They didn't really tell us until like because I remember I didn't know whether she was fighting the champion or it was a vacant title. But yeah, nonetheless, she performed really well. It was a good performance.
She did, but I don't believe Jonas belongs at that weight. If I'm being brutally honest.
No, she was that girl was massive that she fought.
Yeah.
Maybe not, Cole, but that's what she's had to do to get the fight that she's wanted to finally get a world title shot. Because Katie Taylor was never given her a rematch. Terry Harper didn't want to give her a rematch at probably a prime weight. You know, so she's had to. I mean, she's not had it easy, Jonas. She's not been given the fight she's deserved. Let's have it right. So she's had to go up 2 weights.
Look, I'm not digging her out for it. I'm not digging her out for it for 1 minute. Props to her for going up them weights and winning the world title.
Yeah.
She had to do it, but I just don't think she belongs at that weight. That's all I'm saying.
We'll see, won't we? We'll see, won't we, against ranking. If she does fight ranking, we'll see.
Why
you know, this
come back down and fight Baumgardner?
Yeah.
That's her original weight, right? And that she battered Terry Harper. Let's be brutally honest.
She's a serious fighter, mate.
I know. But
in my opinion,
Jonas can
fight.
It's
looking like she's going to fight Michaela Mayer, right?
Yeah.
This is what I mean. So
top division.
She can fight those two. She can fight those two.
What a fight that is.
That's what I mean.
And let's be honest, she'd probably earn more from them purses than she's picking up for fighting Anna Rankin, in my view.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe, but you got to think that it's a British fighter and Rankin, isn't it? I mean, they're not gonna. Well, maybe they will drag Baumgardner over here again because she seems very comfortable fighting in this country. Yeah. I mean, last time out, she looked absolutely outstanding. Her technique's fantastic.
Yep. Did she look pretty poor in her last fight? I'm pretty
sure. No, she looked fantastic. Baumgardner.
Was that the one that you're talking about when she fought Terry Harper?
No, she's fought since then, mate. She fought.
Yeah, she fought
on the undercard a couple of weeks back.
I thought her performance was a bit lackluster.
No, I thought she was brilliant.
Was that Michaela Mayer that didn't look that great? It was one of them.
Yeah, I think Michaela Mayer struggled a little bit in her last fight. In my opinion.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Baumgardner cleans her out.
Really?
Yeah.
She got some punch power, hasn't she?
Yeah.
There's a sickening.
What about Baumgardner and Jonas? Who wins that?
Very tough fight for Jonas, isn't it? I like Jonas a lot. I've got a lot of time for her. She's a great girl. I think Baumgardner's levels above most people in that weight division, mate. I really do think she's that good. Her skill set's outstanding. She's very slick. She's a very slick backward fighter, really, but she carries some serious power when she sets her feet.
Yeah.
Very, very, very good. Very good.
That Harper knockout was scary, wasn't it?
Yeah.
She knocked her out on her feet. She was out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, moving on, Carl.
Yep. So the last one, Imran, I know I've heard you talk about this a lot. So Imran, you can take this one away. Obviously, we covered the Liam Smith bits. Let's concentrate on the fight.
So the first fight, Castano won the fight, in my opinion. I had it 7-5 to Castano. But this is a great fight. Charlo's shown in the past that he can make the adjustments. He did it with Tony Harrison. He came back and stopped him. He hurt Castano a lot of times in the first fight. But I just think Castano's pressure and his activity, for me, should have won him the fight. But I do think Charlo will. I do think Charlo will come strong in this fight, and I have him stopping Castano late on. Castano will cause him same issues. I just think Charlo's a better fighter. I think Charlo's a better fighter, and he carries more power. He's bigger. And I just think I think he'll get a late stoppage in this one. But Castano's a great fighter, great fighter. He's got a deep amateur background. He's a serious problem. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see another tough fight where maybe it could go the other way. But I would pick Charlo in this one. I think his power will show.
I'm going Charlo points. I think they both had a good look at each other last time out. Charlo will make the adjustments, and I'm going not a wide points decision, but I think Charlo is a better boxer out of the two of them, if I'm honest. I like Charlo, so I'm going for Charlo points on this one.
Yeah, I like that breakdown, Imran. That was good, mate. I kind of agree with Carl though. I think, like you've said as well, Charlo is capable of making adjustments. I think he'll look back on that fight and see what he needs to do, and it'll make life a bit easier for himself this time. And I think you'll see I think you'll see a split decision, but the scorecards for Charlo will be wider than the card that goes to Castillo. So this is for Undisputed.
Yeah.
If Charlo does win, you've said that you think the belts get split because he moves up.
Yeah.
If Castillo wins, he stays at the weight.
Yeah, he'll stay
and keeps the belts. Who's next in line, Imran? You've got your pulse on the finger on the pulse a bit more than me in this division.
Well, Fundora's knocking on the door. Tony Harrison's knocking on the door after his win against Sergio Garcia. There's quite a few guys that are in line for a shot, but I don't know whether the belts, like if Castano becomes undisputed, I don't know whether the belts will become split anyway. The politics in boxing is hard to keep. There'll be mandatories from different organizations. So I personally think that because the belts would be with PBC, they'll obviously try keeping them in-house. And that's another problem for someone like Liam Smith, is that he's not with the PBC. He's not with those guys. So it's going to be very difficult because PBC are a very in-house type of organization. They
definitely don't want to work with Eddie Hearn.
No.
Yeah, exactly. They don't really like Eddie Hearn. We seen the comments Ellaby made recently. So, I personally think it'll be good for boxing if Charlo wins. He moves up and the belts become vacant, and then we can see guys like Liam Smith, guys like Tszyu, guys like that fight each other for these belts. Fundora, because I think that'll be good for. The division. To be honest with you, I hope Liam Smith gets another world title shot. I know you guys are like Liam Smith and are big fan. And to be fair, he's a nice guy. To be fair, he's not had the luck go with Robert Green. He's not the biggest name, unfortunately, and he doesn't get the opportunities which he probably deserves. That performance against Vargas deserves an opportunity or a big fight, in his division where he can prove that he's a top guy in that division. So hopefully he gets an opportunity against a Tszyu or against a Fundora, because that's what he needs, Carl, right?
That name on his resume.
Yeah.
So Cedric in the sidebar, he said, Castillo clearly winning the first fight, but he's going with Charlo by round 10 KO. Just one last one before we go, lads. On the undercard to this Castillo Charlo fight, Boots Ennis is fighting Castillo Clayton.
This will be a very quick response from me, because Boots Ennis is the next big thing in boxing. Yeah. So Boots Ennis will dominate this kid. I've watched a bit of the kid on YouTube. There's nothing that I think would be worrying Boots Ennis. Round 6 stoppage for me.
Cedric, if you're in the sidebar, mate, just while we're talking about this, tell us a little bit about Clayton. He's from Canada. I'm guessing you've got your opinions on him. I'm sure you'll know a bit more about him than us. Boots Ennis is just outstanding, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great fighter.
Dangerous. 28 fights, 26 KOs.
Real deal.
Yeah. In my opinion, he probably goes on and dominates the division for quite some time.
Yeah.
It's just worrying. It's another one of these American fighters, mate, that doesn't have the profile he should have. He's had 28 fights. He doesn't have the profile he should have. He should be world champion by now.
Yeah. Oh,
I just don't understand. I don't understand the mentality of American promoters and the way they bring the fighters through.
There's no superstars, really. There's no superstars. Where Errol Spence, Terence Crawford, these aren't big names. Let's be brutally honest. These aren't big. Like, these are good fighters, great fighters, but these aren't big names. Let's be honest. No one even knows Terence Crawford or Errol Spence.
I've said it many times. Tyson Fury and Canelo are the biggest names in American boxing, and they're non-Americans.
Yeah. I don't know what it is with like where are the Floyd Mayweathers, where are the Mike Tysons, where are those names, where are those guys that are the American fighters that had those big names? There isn't any. They're drying up. And they've got good fighters, don't get me wrong. They've got great fighters like Charlo's.
Where are the charismatic promoters gone? The Don Kings.
Yeah, but they're all old now, like Bob Arum's.
Yeah, but you think there'd be another generation coming, wouldn't you? You know, let's have it right. When Tyson was fighting, we knew about it over in this side of the pond.
Yeah. He's an icon, though. Hey, you can't really compare. Like, he's an icon, a one-off. Like, yeah. He's a one-off.
What I'm saying is, we knew they had charisma, didn't they? When they come over to London, you know, Don King would be waving his flags, and everything was bigger and better in the United States, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
I mean, boxing as a whole, lads, it's fell down the pecking order in sports watched in the States, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. It's sad, really. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. You're right, Andy. Why, like, Jaron Boots Ennis? What a fighter he is. That guy's an unbelievable talent. Like, I think he cleans out everybody, even now.
If he was British, he'd be massive.
Yeah, like, look how big Conor Benn.
So would Crawford.
Yeah.
So would Errol Spence. So would Shakur Stevenson.
Yeah. Nobody knows them. And you know what? You go on their social media platforms, and they have like 50,000 followers or 100,000 followers. It's like, come on, like, you know, that's literally nothing. Like, their country is massive as well.
No, for the size of America. What they got? How many people live in America? 3 billion.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I mean. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. I don't get how they.
It's more like 300 million, isn't it? But I'm being
300 million. Yeah.
I was going to say, were you thinking of China or America?
Yeah.
But the thing is about boxing in per se, as a product, the UK just do it a lot better than the Americans. You know, the American fighters come over and they're amazed, aren't they, by the atmospheres, by the production, you know, the interaction with the fans. Terence Crawford's gone on record as saying he wants to fight in the UK again because it's that buzz.
There isn't one for him to fight, though.
I know.
That's the problem. Unless Conor Benn becomes good or Josh Taylor pulls his finger out, maybe that could be a fight in the future. I
think Taylor's quite probable, wouldn't you think?
Say that again.
Taylor might be quite a possibility.
Yeah. I think Taylor's got a lot of business to handle at 140. He needs to fight Jack Catterall again, to be honest.
Yeah.
That was a disgrace. I haven't spoke to you guys since then, but that was a disgrace.
It's armed his legacy, hasn't it? Let's be honest. It's
the way he's acted as well. The way he's acted, Carl. Like,
the problem is him, man. The problem is he's saying he can't make that weight anymore.
But he's fighting at that weight again. He's fighting his mandatory. He's fighting a guy at 140 again.
Is he
fighting
really?
at 140 again? Yeah. He's fighting at 140. His next fight's at 140 against his name's not coming to my head.
Has that been made?
Hey?
Has that fight been made?
No, but he's already said that he's staying at 140 and he's gonna fight that guy. His name's not coming to my head.
If that's the case, if he's staying at 140,
Grace.
My respect for Josh Taylor's just gone completely downhill. I've been a massive advocate of him for years and years and years. I think he's a real talent.
Yeah.
But if he's doing that and he's not giving the rematch, oh God, wow. I really hope you're wrong, Imran. I really hope you're wrong, mate.
He's staying at 140. He said it. He said it himself. He actually had a spat with Jack Catterall on Twitter, and they were going back and forth. And Jack Catterall actually gave an interview and said, he's staying at 140, but he's not fighting me. And Josh Taylor just said to him that I've got to fight this guy, otherwise I'm going to lose my belt. To be honest with you, like I think the way he's gone on after the fight, that he thought he won the fight. I honestly thought he got dominated. To be honest with you, I thought it was quite a once. I thought like I couldn't believe it. Me and my dad were watching that fight together, and my dad like literally was outraged. He goes, "Surely that's not right. Surely that's corruption. Surely how can he get that decision?" It was literally that much outrage.
It was bad one too.
I just couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. And then him going on after the way he did after the fight, trying to justify how he thought he won. I think he needs to fight.
I mean, maybe I'm being a bit harsh on Josh Taylor. Maybe he's got no choice and he's got to fight as mandatory, because that happens. But surely the governing bodies have got to step in here and say the Catterall fight has to be first. Surely.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is the decision on the night was not Josh Taylor's fault, was it? Let's have it right. It's the judges.
Yeah. I agree, Carl. But you're robbing.
His behaviour afterwards, don't get me wrong, fair enough. But he don't call the fight. But he should jump back in with him. You're right.
It should be, but it shouldn't be down to him to make that decision. It should be the governing bodies that say,
Hold
on a minute, that was a farce. It needs to be done again.
And what's happened with this British Boxing Board of Control review that's taking place?
Nothing, mate. It's been brushed under the carpet like it always does with the British Boxing Board of Control.
It's not a good look, though. It's not a good look because he was fighting in Scotland. He was fighting in front of his own. His own people had him losing the fight. It's not a good look. It feels like these things happen. Look at the Canelo Bivol scorecards, 115, 113. That wasn't a 115, 113 fight.
No.
If Canelo won the last round, that would have been a draw. Do you know what I mean? These things are not good for the sport of boxing, but it hurts the sport of boxing. Many people watched that fight, Catterall and Taylor, and they were like, "What's this?" Like, one guy's just beat up another guy, and the other guy's won the fight.
I'll be honest with you, Imran. I watched it in a bar in Nottingham, so I didn't have the luxury of the commentary.
Yeah.
So it gave me a proper. I could sit and watch it objectively.
Yeah.
And when it went to the scorecards, I thought, well, I'll go for go to the bar because Catterall's won this all day.
Yeah.
When I come back and saw that Taylor got his arm lifted, I just couldn't believe it. Robert Smith needs to come out and tell us what's been done about it.
I don't even think it was close, though. It wasn't like it was like close. I don't know. Maybe I didn't watch the fight. I watched it highlights, but it didn't seem close to me. Catterall knocked him down. He was dictating the pace. It just looked quite a comfortable win. I
think he was comfortable as well, mate. I've watched it back several times, and I come up with the same conclusion every single time.
So Fitz in the sidebar says, what choice does he have but to stay at 140? Based on his last fight, he ain't beating Crawford or Spence. And I'd have to agree.
That wasn't. I mean, taking nothing away from Catterall, that wasn't the Josh Taylor that we know. That wasn't the Josh Taylor performance of the last 2, 3, 4 fights. Now, whether it is because he's weight trained, whether it is because he struggles at 140, who knows? But if he's going to move up anyway, or if he was going to move up anyway, because he's struggling at 140, what does it matter if he don't face his mandatory challenger? He's going to get the belts to off him if he moves up anyway.
The only trouble he's got now is no matter what, if he doesn't rematch him, no matter what he goes on to achieve in his career, once he retires, the main thing he's going to be remembered for is a Jack Catterall fight. Mark my words.
It's not his fault, though, is it, Cole? It's not his fault.
I don't see that sentence where it says it's his fault. I'm just saying what people were going to remember him for.
Yeah, and that's not fair, is it? Really? Let's have it right. Is how many other people can say they're undisputed in the 4-belt era?
But it'll happen.
Yeah, it would do. And also remember, Jack Catterall is British. He's from England. So let's be honest, there was a lot of the English fans supporting Jack Catterall there. So they were not happy that they felt their man got robbed. Clear cut, really. So yeah, I personally think he's got to fight him again. And by the way, I don't think it'll be an easy fight because I think
No.
Catrill's a really good boxer. Catrill's a really good boxer. He can really box. And Taylor's not really had to fight somebody like that can really box and move like that. So stylistically, Catrill's a problem for anybody. I saw Catrill fight O'Hara Davis, and he looked really good there. But you kind of like, a bit like we were talking about Bivol. Like we don't really know how good he is, but maybe he's one of those fighters that can fight to the level of his opponent.
Well, they're not queuing up to jump in with him, are they, Imran?
Oh, no.
Well, he's signed with Probello now. I mean, that maybe puts a different slant on the old possibly getting a rematch thing.
I don't know. I don't know if Josh Taylor would want to go near him. I don't know whether it's a stylistic thing. He may just think that I don't need this guy. I don't need to fight him. Do you know what I mean? I've got the decision. I don't need to fight him. It doesn't look like he's too bothered to fight him again. Do you see what I mean? He doesn't seem like, I'll go in him. Like when Floyd fought Maidana and people thought Maidana won the fight, Floyd went and rematched him. When Floyd lost, people thought he lost to Castillo. He rematched him right away. That's what great fighters do. They, when they feel like there's a decision that's a bit iffy, they rematch him. But he's been dismissive of the rematch. So I don't know.
Yeah, I can't really argue with you there, mate.
It would definitely taint his legacy. Let's put it that way.
Oh, 100%.
And that's 100%. A real shame, mate. It's a real shame because he's an absolute quality operator. What he's done. Hey?
There's an easy answer in there. Jump in.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Right, we're about done, Andy. For another week.
I think we better call it, mate.
Imran, cheers for joining, fella. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks for having me on, guys.
No worries. Take care, Imran.
Take care, guys.
Cheers. Guys in the sidebar, thank you very much for joining. Great contribution as ever. Really enjoyed it this evening. And always a pleasure. Thanks for your contribution. That's it for another week. Live again next Thursday, 7 p.m. Like, comment, subscribe. Hit the alert bell. That's Bell Boxing in partnership with Southbank Bar, Nottingham. See you again next week. Take care.